Thanks, Jenna. Great to have you back. Well, World Relief was one of the groups who put out that new report on refugees that Jenna just mentioned. World Relief President Scott Arbeiter joins us now for more. Scott, help us make sense between an administration that touts the advancement of religious freedom but keeps cutting the number of refugees it takes in.
John, thanks for raising the questions that you guys have been reporting on consistently. And to be honest, it's difficult to reconcile those two realities. We've had principled conversations with many people at a variety of levels in the government, and we do believe that there are some who legitimately want to address this issue on a broad basis. But the reality is that while the administration has made some significant progress in international religious freedom, and we commend them for that, at home, we are not doing what we have done for a generation. For 40 years, the United States has been known as a safe haven for some of the most persecuted people in the world. And the plurality of those people have been persecuted Christians, while people of other faiths have rightly also been admitted. But the dramatic decline in that, as was mentioned before, 90% under the administration, and in some nations, such as Iran, where there is state-sponsored persecution of Christians, that number's been reduced by 97%. And we have not been able to reconcile the rhetoric to the action.
Scott, what is the defense, or what is the answer that they're giving you as to why that number is being reduced?
Well, most commonly it would be we want to help people stay in the nation that they want to be in. And on the surface, that makes sense, because no one wants to be driven out of their home nation. They would rather stay in their community with their families. But 80 million people are displaced right now. 260 million Christians are under persecution. And the numbers that we're talking about of refugees is a subset of that, 26 million. And those are people who had no choice but to flee their nation in order to find a safe place to simply survive.
How has the last 3 years of severe cuts affected the refugee community, both here and around the world?
Well, in a number of ways. First of all, for the refugees who are still in the camps, they're losing hope because they have no right to work. They have no access to education for their children. Not only is this a current problem, but think about the generational problem that it means for the children and the grandchildren growing up with no access to the education or the work. What will that mean for them and for their host countries? But for those refugees who have been settled to the U.S. and have been awaiting family members to come, their hope has also been cut to shreds because the lack of numbers of refugees being resettled means that their family members, even some of them who were cleared, some who had tickets in their hands, have now been cut off from being resettled. So families remain separated.
Scott, we only have a few seconds left. In the next few months, the Trump administration will decide how many refugees it will accept next year. What's your hope for that number, again, in just a few seconds?
Well, I hope that we will return to our historic levels of 95,000 and that we will also treat the asylum seekers who are refugees in their own right with the kind of dignities that the U.S. law affords them.
All right, Scott Arbeiter of World Relief, thank you so much for being with us and for the work you do.
Thank you.